Okay, so I'm packing up my bike to head off to travel to Sweden to do an Ironman, and I'm reminded that travelling with your bike can be a bit nervy, a bit of a stress, and just a bit tricky sometimes. So I'm going to give you 5 tips that I've picked up along the way for travelling with your bike. Tip number 1: get the best bike box that you can afford. Don't be tempted to save money and buy a cheap one, because as soon as your bike disappears down the conveyor belt and onto the flight, you've really got no idea what's going to happen to it. So think about it as an investment. Some people like to travel with their bike wrapped in a cardboard box because they say that it saves weight and that it's much cheaper. I think you'd be mad to do that if you're in love with your bike. So I invested in one of these hard plastic cases, Bike Box Allen. I've travelled all over Europe with it and I've never had a problem, so I think about that as my insurance plan for my bike. Tip 2: zip ties. One of the most useful, versatile things in the world. They can use for fixing, mending, holding, strapping, getting you home in an emergency. But my number 1 tip for these is use these to lock your bike box instead of a padlock, because if customs or the airport staff want to go into your box, they'll go into it, probably break the lock, definitely break your padlock. If you put zip ties on it, it will definitely keep it closed, and it makes it easy for the customs guys to open your box if you need to. Tip 3: industrial wipes. About £1.49 from B&Q. You can use them to wipe down your hands when you've been putting your bike together or taking it apart again to rebox it, for cleaning your chain after a ride, for cleaning any of the moving parts on your bike. Really useful, really versatile, and this is just one of the things that makes life a little bit easier and a little bit less stressful when you're travelling with your bike. Tip 4 is not something that you should do, it's something that you definitely shouldn't do, and that is be tempted to travel with your gas canisters. I've got at least 3 friends whose bikes have not made it onto the plane because they've had gas canisters in the boxes. It's really tempting, but anywhere you're going with your bike, you'll be able to pick these up for about 2 or 3 quid each. So, oops, don't be tempted to save the money. Just don't do it. Tip number 5, and this is my favourite, is go doggy style. So think about when you're in the airport, you're trying to push your bike box with one hand, carry a rucksack over your bag, probably carry some luggage, maybe can't find a trolley. This just makes life tons easier. Go to B&Q or your local pet shop and buy a length of webbing or a dog lead or a piece of old rope or something, and use it as a lead to drag your box through the airport. It makes life loads easier, and that's my top tip. Okay, come on boy.